The sky above the small port town was painted with orange and violet as the sun began its descent. Waves lapped against the wooden piers in a rhythm that had always comforted Ethan. But tonight, he stood at the edge of the dock with someone very different cradled in his arms, a girl who was not from Earth. Her name was Serene. She was light, shockingly light. Her skin shimmered faintly like moonlit water, and her long, silvery hair clung to his shirt in wisps. She was paralyzed, or so she had always claimed. Her legs were thin and unmoving beneath the delicate robe she wore. It had been weeks since she'd appeared in his life, left behind after a mysterious crash in the nearby forest. At first, Ethan had only meant to give her shelter. Then he found himself making her meals, carrying her from room to room, learning her language. He'd started to believe he knew her, though she rarely spoke of her home or why she had been traveling alone. Today had been her first request of him. "The ocean," she had said, her accent soft but firm. "I want to see it, with my own eyes." And so he carried her down the slope toward the beach, his boots sinking into the sand as gulls circled above. "You could have told me sooner," he said, shifting her weight slightly. "It's a long walk for me, you know." Her lips curved faintly. "I did not know if you would agree." He glanced at her. "Why wouldn't I?" She didn't answer right away, and he felt her fingers tighten slightly around his collar. Her hands were always warm, almost feverish. Humans, they look at the ocean differently. My kind, we do not see it often. Water here tastes of salt. It moves with life. I wanted to feel it close. Something in her tone made Ethan's chest tighten. He had spent his whole life near this beach, yet he'd never thought of it that way. "We're almost there," he murmured. When they reached the tide line, Ethan set her down gently onto a blanket he'd brought. She sat upright, silent and still, her luminous eyes fixed on the horizon where the sun dipped low. Her expression was unreadable, part wonder, part ache. He crouched beside her. "It's beautiful, huh?" "It is vast," she whispered. "It does not end, like our sky." He chuckled softly. "Well, technically it does end, but, yeah, feels endless." A breeze carried the scent of salt and seaweed. Serene leaned forward slightly, her fingers brushing the damp sand. "It is cold," she said, marveling. "It clings to my skin." Ethan watched her for a moment. There was something different in her today. A focus, a tremor running beneath her composure. "You okay?" he asked. "I am not sure," she admitted. "My body feels heavy here. But my heart," she pressed a hand to her chest, "my heart feels something I do not have words for." He smiled faintly. "That's the ocean for you. Makes you feel small but alive." For a long while, they sat together watching the waves. Then Ethan stood and rolled up his jeans. "I'll get you closer." Before she could object, he scooped her up again, feeling the tremor in her body. He stepped into the shallow surf, cold water swirling around his ankles. Serene inhaled sharply, clutching his shirt. "It's okay," he murmured. "Just water." She reached out, letting the foam touch her fingers. Her eyes widened with a strange, glowing sheen. "It is alive," she said again. "I can feel its motion in my skin." "First time touching the ocean?" She nodded. "First time touching a world like this." Something unspoken hung between them. He lowered her until the water lapped at her calves. "There you go," he said. "You're in the ocean now." Her breathing grew uneven. "Ethan," he looked at her. "Yeah, she hesitated, biting her lip. "I have not been honest with you." His brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" Her hands shook. "My body is not broken." For a moment, the sound of the surf drowned everything else. Ethan stared at her, confusion flashing across his face. "You mean you're not paralyzed?" She closed her eyes. "No, I can walk." The words hit him harder than he expected. He took a step back, still holding her above the water. "Then why? Why did you let me carry you everywhere? Why?" "I did not let you," she said quickly. "I needed to heal. My strength was low, and I needed to know if you would help without asking for anything." Ethan's jaw clenched. "So this was a test?" "No," She opened her eyes, and they shimmered like liquid silver. It was survival. In my culture, when we are stranded, our bodies shut down movement to conserve energy. We can reawaken it at will. But I did not. Not at first. He searched her face. Why not tell me? I would have still helped you. Her voice trembled. I was afraid. Your people, your wars, your mistrust of strangers. You could have left me. Or worse. He wanted to argue, but her eyes, earnest, wounded, stilled him. He realized he wasn't angry so much as stunned. Can you show me? He asked quietly. Serene nodded slowly. She slid out of his arms, her bare feet touching the cold surf. For a moment she wobbled, as though unsure. Then, with a deep breath, she straightened. Her legs moved, unsteady but working. Ethan stared, mouth slightly open, as she took her first steps into the ocean on her own. The water swirled around her knees, her robes darkening. She swayed with the tide, lifting her arms like wings. You weren't lying, he murmured. I never wanted to, she said softly. I only wanted to see the ocean before I left. Left, he echoed. She turned, water dripping from her fingers. My people will find me soon. I sent a signal yesterday. They will come for me tomorrow. He felt a hollow weight settle in his stomach. Tomorrow? Serene nodded, her expression both serene and sad. You gave me more than shelter. You gave me kindness without question. My people, they will not understand what that means. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. You could stay. You don't have to go back. Her gaze softened. I must, but I wanted you to know the truth before I left. For a long moment, only the ocean spoke. Then Ethan waded in beside her, water soaking his jeans. Guess I should have seen it coming, he said with a faint smile. She tilted her head. Seen what? That someone like you was never helpless. Her lips curved faintly. And yet, you carried me anyway. He chuckled, shaking his head. Yeah, I did. They stood together as the sun dipped below the horizon, the sky deepening to indigo. Serene stepped closer, placing her glowing palm against his chest. You will remember me? She asked softly. How could I forget? He said. She exhaled, closing her eyes. Good, because I will remember you, Ethan of the sea, the human who carried me when I could walk. He swallowed. And when you're gone, she smiled faintly. Look at the ocean. It will remember me, too. That night, he walked her back to the small house by the dunes. She did not need him to carry her anymore, but she held his hand anyway, and when he awoke the next morning, she was gone, leaving only a faint shimmer of silver dust on the blanket and the memory of her steps in the sand leading down to the ocean.